Talking about feet, we'll be showing a new sort of therapy involving foot massage, which is called reflexology, and we'll be seeing what you can do to keep your children's feet healthy and avoid foot problems later on in life. And I'll try and do that without putting the boot in, it says here. Leave the links and the scripts to me, I think, next time.
Yes, it did say that there, though. I must defend you on that. Every day this week, between 8:30 and 9, we're broadcasting live from the Cannes Film Festival in the south of France. So, without further ado, let's join Jane Irving now for Bonjour Bretagne.
Hello, bonjour, and welcome to Bonjour Britain. We're here in Cannes for the 41st International Film Festival, and we're broadcasting live every day from the rooftop of the Palais du Festival, where all the major films are screened. Our major star guest this morning is Natasha Richardson, who stars in a film about the extraordinary life of Patty Hearst, called Patty Hearst, and we'll be chatting to her later. But do you remember our star guest yesterday was Bob Hoskins, who was here to promote his film Raggedy Rawnie? Well, some hot news from him this morning is he told us that when the film is actually premiered in London sometime in the autumn and all the celebrities go along and pay for their tickets, he's going to use all the proceeds of that and send it to the Pito Institute in Hungary for their work with spastic children, which apparently he feels very passionately about. Now, last night, the big star to hit town was Sting, who arrived for the screening of his film Stormy Monday, which is one of the British films up for an award. And he arrived for the most extraordinary scenes. I mean, it really was incredible. I was actually in that crowd somewhere, and let me tell you, it was pretty scary. The security was a little bit dodgy, to say the least. And there was grave danger at one point that he actually wouldn't get into the auditorium to watch the screening of the film. You can see him there somewhere in the crowd with Trudy Styler, his girlfriend. And as I say, it was pretty frightening being at the back of that crush. And apparently there are actually punch-ups between some of the photographers who were fighting to get space in there. Anyway, getting back to the festival, I suppose it's really about two main things. It's about the buying and selling of films. Something like 600 of them are on show here. And it's also about the competitions, and there are various categories in the competitions, and the countries all put their films up for these awards. Well, our first guest this morning is here really to explain about how important those competitions are and where Britain figures in the international market. His name is Scott Meek, and he's head of development at Zenith Productions, and they're one of the really successful new British companies. They've had hits with films like Wish You Were Here and Sid and Nancy. And a very good morning to you, Scott. I must say, coming to Cannes for the first time, when you see all this kind of frenetic partying, you do actually wonder whether there's any serious business that goes on here at all.
Enormous amount of business done, but actually it's done quite often at the parties as well. Although many mornings you will find people who've been at too many parties trying to construct a business conversation in which somehow they never connect because nothing is working very well, including their brains. But last year, for instance, we were approached by Atlantic Entertainment, an American film group, with a script for Patty Hearst, at that point uncast, with Paul Schrader, the director, attached, and asked if we would participate in financing that with them, and the film was actually set up here.
So it's actually got British money in it, even though it's actually an American entry.
Indeed it does, yes.
And when the sort of would-be producers and movie moguls come here, is it only really the big shots that have a chance of getting a deal?
No, people come here with small films. I mean, some of the competitions for the Camera d'Or, for instance, is for people who have just made their first film, which could be a very low-budget 16mm film. And they will come here. If the film is greeted well, even if it doesn't win, what they can do is find the financing for the next film that they're trying to make. So there are many young filmmakers whose career has started here with a very, very small project indeed, and have been back 5 years later with a big film which is in the main competition.
How important are winning the various prizes, I mean, commercially, in terms of the international market?
Commercially, the prizes mean quite a lot in France, particularly the Palme d'Or, which is the main prize for the winning film of competition. Supposedly they mean little in America, but what you get with them is an attendant publicity, because clearly whomsoever wins the Best Actor, Best Actress award, you have photographers here from every country in the world, you have TV stations from every country in the world, and their photo and the name of the film is consequently seen everywhere. So that must have an effect on an audience. What it gives is it gives the film a profile. People know it exists and have a curiosity to see it.
The British film industry really does seem to be picking up and doing incredibly well these days, doesn't it? Why do you think that is?
Oh, I think that what happened was Britain decided to stop making big, expensive films like the Americans because we can't make enough of them. I mean, because you stand such a good chance of losing money in a film, it's a very high-risk area. If you make two $15 million films, and that's all you can afford to do, then you have a good chance of losing $30 million. If you make 6 or 7, $3 or $4 million films, you stand a much better chance of success. And I think what's happening now in Britain is a resurgence of energy for making low to medium budget films, films that don't compete on the same level as the Americans, but try and offer to a world market perhaps something that isn't being offered by the American cinema itself.
We've actually got 9 films that are up for awards at the moment. What do you think of the Great British hopes in the competition
I
this year?
think in the competition, the British film which stands a very good chance of winning something is a film called A World Apart, which is a South African story and is an amazingly powerful true story of a girl and her mother under apartheid. And everyone who sees it is deeply affected by it. It's a remarkable first film by Chris Menges, the Oscar-winning cinematographer. And there's a very little BFI film which is eligible for an award here, called Distant Voices, Still Lives, directed by Terence Davis, which is, I think, quite genuinely, perhaps the only masterpiece that's been seen thus far in the festival.
And now, very briefly, will you stick your neck out and say who you think might win the most prestigious award, which is the Palme d'Or kind of Film of the Year award?
Yes, it's showing now at this time in the morning, which shows how keen people are, and it's the Chinese film, Chen Kaigu's film, King of the Children. That would be my guess.
Why? Because it's a good film?
I think it's a wonderful film. I think he's a major talent, and I think he is the first really, really important international filmmaker to emerge from China.
And it's the first time they've joined the festival as well,
It's
which
the
is
first time
great.
they've been in competition.
Scott, do stay with us. We'll be meeting Natasha Richardson right after this break.
Here comes Joe, he's the guy to know. He does the maddest things in town. You turn the whole world upside down. Crazy Joe Cola that cools from walls. Cola on a stick, golly what a lolly. Crazy Joe Cola that cools from walls. Crazy.
At mealtimes, the Rinaldi family always look forward to the cheese coming round. Because, as well as being low in fat, Edam's a terrific all-round performer. Even when it's cooked. Dutch Edam, a great ball of cheese.
You better get that gun. We're having lunch at 1.
Never mind. This Candy dishwasher's a very quick and quiet one.
Candy can do. Candy can do.
She was hot, and he knew it. He decided to put her out of her misery. Ski Cool. Pure yogurt, milk, and natural fruit juice. Cutely blended to give the most refreshing drink a girl could ever have. New Ski Cool. Strawberry or orange. The delicious way to keep your cool.
Hello again and welcome to Bonjour Britain. Our star guest this morning is Natasha Richardson, who stars in a film about the life of Patty Hearst called Patty Hearst. It's one of the American entries in the competition here. It's now actually 14 years since the American heiress hit the headlines when she was kidnapped by the Symbionese Liberation Army. And it looked like it was just a sort of straightforward kidnapping. But then, remarkably, 2 months later, she was actually spotted wielding a gun in a bank raid. She was arrested by the FBI, spent 2 years in jail and was later pardoned by President Carter. She later claimed that she'd been brainwashed and now leads quite a normal life as a housewife married to her former police bodyguard. At a press conference this weekend, she explained how she actually felt watching herself being portrayed on screen.
You know, it is emotional to watch, and not only because I went through the experience, but the way that Paul has presented the experience it brings a person, even though they're not involved, into it in an emotional way. It elicits an emotional response.
It is amazing to think that these days she is, as they say, just a housewife, not just a housewife, but looking after a husband and child. Now, before we actually talk to Natasha Richardson, let's have a look at how she portrayed and interpreted her role as Patty Hearst in the film Patty Hearst.
Tanya. Hey, Tanya.
That's you, Tiny. Your new name.
The first Tanya fought with Che in Bolivia.
Me.
Take off your blindfold. Welcome. You're now Tanya, a guerrilla fighter in the Symbionese Liberation Army.
You're all soldiers.
It's powerful stuff, isn't it? Can I just explain, actually, that you will not be seeing this film in black and white when it finally gets to the screens over in Britain. But it's basically one of the very many canned sort of cock-up stories. What happened was apparently, in between transferring it onto video, somewhere between Paris and New York, somebody didn't press the right button. But don't worry, it will be in colour when it finally arrives. Anyway, Natasha, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Did you actually meet Patty Hearst before you started filming?
We met very briefly for lunch about a month before we started shooting, so yes, we did.
Was that a conscious decision so that you wouldn't have your role kind of coloured by meeting her?
Well, I mean, I hummed and hawed about meeting her because I thought, well, is it going to put me off? Is it going to distance me from playing the character, from it coming in from inside of myself? But then I thought, you know, what have you got to lose? And my curiosity overcame me. And it was great because she offered some very, very helpful notes on the script.
And you did lots of other research for the part as well, didn't you?
Yes, I read every book that I could get my hands on, and of which there are many, and listened a lot to the taped communiques that she sent out during her captivity. I did so, and I talked with a friend of a friend who was kidnapped in England, albeit for 3 days, and compared those experiences. Really? Yes, yes. So, in fact, I did so much research that I got totally confused by it all and just had to put it aside and trust that I knew it and approach it again from inside me.
It is one of the most intriguing stories. I mean, having done it now, do you have, you must have some insights into why she actually did it? Why she actually went along with the army?
In a nutshell, to survive. That's how it started. She had to, she because of her brutal treatment, being kept in that cupboard for 6 weeks, being raped, blindfolded, constant political propaganda being thrown down her throat, that she was sort of put into, she was turned into a sort of childlike state of dependency on them. And she knew that if she tried to escape or anything, she'd be shot. And so she went along with them to survive. Later on, it gets a bit more complicated, and in fact, I think the outside world became her enemy, and that's why she stayed with them.
Well, they did really, in a way. I mean, there wasn't an enormous amount of sympathy for them. I mean, people generally believed that she had become a zealot, didn't they?
They did. I mean, I find it so extraordinary, and whichever way you look at the story, the bottom line is that she was kidnapped, and had she not been kidnapped, she wouldn't have become involved with these people, and that she went to prison for 2 years for that, I find appalling, but I'm amazed by the amount of people who have very little sympathy for her story.
How do you think she's handling it now, afterwards?
It's astonishing. I think you saw a clip from the press conference, and she handles herself with so much aplomb, and she seems so self-confident and such a sort of happy, sane person. I think that's extraordinary.
Was it emotionally quite tough for you doing those scenes? Because they're quite traumatic, aren't they?
Yes, it was tough, but when you have such a good part, it's never really that tough. You're just thanking the Lord that you got the chance to to play this part. It's so good. They don't come along like this every time.
It is. It's a brilliant role. And now your sister is actually around Cannes, isn't she, at the moment? Because she's in a film, Drowning by Numbers, which is another British entry. Well, are you in competition with each other then?
Well, I don't think of it that way. I mean, the honour in Cannes, I think, is to be that you're accepted in competition, and then the prizes are an added bonus, but they're not the big thing. Yes, I leave today, and Jolie, who might even be watching in London, is arriving on Thursday, I think.
Now, of course, you know Scott very well, because he was the man with the wallet, weren't you?
I actually met Natasha for the first time after she just had lunch with Patty in New York on the way to the beginning of the shoot in Los Angeles. Yes. And we bumped into each other by accident at the airport. And I was given a kind of preview of the accent after kind of trying to coax her for some time and bribing her with some gossipy magazines for the newspaper flight.
You do look actually quite similar, I mean, physically.
I think in the film we tried to accentuate the similarities with hair and makeup, and I tried to get her very much the same quality in her voice, as well as that Northern California upper class accent.
And I wonder, has your mum seen it yet?
No, the film was only finished about a week ago, so only those who've been in Cannes have seen it.
Everybody always refers to the fact that your mother is Vanessa Redgrave in interviews. I mean, does that bug you at all?
No, she's my mother.
Do you think it's in some ways been tougher?
No, no. It's a huge advantage. There's no question about it, but not in the way people think. People think it must mean that you get a job much easier, but you don't. It's just that the advantage is all the experience that my family have had over the years, and the advice that they can give, and the inspiration of her work and my grandfather's work. That's the advantage.
A lot of people would be daunted by it though, and would think, I will do anything rather than go into the same business, because how can I match up to it?
I've never felt that way. I always wanted to do it, and I do push, because I've always seen work at its best. That's what I want from myself, and so I push myself quite hard, but not in a competitive way, not in that sense.
Natasha, it's been lovely meeting you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Scott. We'll take a break.
Feed all your garden with Fostrogen plant food. Easy, economical, it's good for everything that grows.
Nothing like Tuesday morning to remind one that the quieter pleasures in life are the best. Like the milder formulation and delicate fragrance of improved Wright's coal tar soap. And so, a moment of tranquil appreciation before the figures of a refreshing wash. There's no time for poetry these days.
New Wright's coal tar soap. Just right for all the family.
These Prize Italiano are different. They're deliciously smooth yogurts, lightly whipped to melt in the mouth. And they can paddle my canoe any day.
Hello again, welcome to Bonjour Britain. As you may have guessed by now, an essential part of the Cannes scene is the partying. Well, our reporter Paul Risen dedicated an entire 24 hours of his life to investigating it.
On board a yacht called Sophisticated Lady, almost no one's turned up for the launch of a science fiction epic called Adventure 1, a cheeky title which presumes a future Adventure 2. It's producer Mark Advent's first film, of which so far not a frame has been shot. Nevertheless, he assures us it'll be
the ultimate adventure in movie-going experiences.
Though the film may yet turn out to be a flop, the sausage rolls were a hit.
Parties, receptions, dinners, lunches. At times, Cannes seems little more than one endless round of eating and drinking. Indeed, there's not time in the... Good Lord, is that... Excuse me a minute. Cut.
Next stop, a glittering bash for the launch of a film that has been made, starring Rambo's kid brother Frank Stallone. As the band play If I Were a Rich Man, and most of the guests seem to fall into that category, Frank commits the first gaffe of the evening by plugging the wrong picture.
And I think Rambo 3 is probably
better than the first two put together. It's totally different. It's going to be very unexpected for people, and it's a terrific film.
You can forgive a man perhaps almost anything, except when he thinks he can sing. As a singer, Mr. Stallone, it has to be said, brought to mind that other famous Frank, Frank Bruno.
My love ascends right from the sand and watch the ships that go sailing.
The cabaret may have been a little rocky, but it did attract a few familiar faces.
Look, sorry about the noise, but they've just started the disco up. It's about midnight. It's another day on the French Riviera, and would you believe it, it's time to go to another party.
Across town at Do Number 3, the food's running out as they're bopping the night away for a film called Hairspray. No one seems certain if it's been made or not, and a terrible rumour starts that Frank Stallone's on his way over to sing for us. I'm enjoying myself, but not everyone else is.
I think it's dreadfully boring. I'm having the worst time of my life, and I wouldn't be caught dead in this dress. Good night.
The early hours, and Cannes still buzzing. So it's on to an exclusive party for the new film from Sting. Funny how the same people keep turning up wherever you go, but then that, as they say, is entertainment.
Well, there's always one party you can't get into, and that's it over there. Millionaire's Yacht. On board, they tell me, Clint Eastwood, Robert Redford, and goodness knows who else. I'm here. I'm not bitter or anything. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Actually, I must say, on a serious note, sometimes the amount of money that the film companies are prepared to spend for their parties almost borders on the obscene. I was talking to the wife of the film producer the other night, who said that she'd been to a party where they'd apparently spent $40,000 on beluga caviar. Can you believe it? All a little bit different from being at home, I should imagine. Anyway, that's just about it from Cannes. I'll hand you back to London now.
Jane, thank you. Before you go, a fleeting glimpse of Sting. Is he on the agenda for later in the week?
Very much so. We're going off to interview him at lunchtime today, so you'll be able to see that tomorrow.
Is that why you had to have a sort of preparatory chat with him, Jane?
Oh, of course, yes. All in the interest of research, Mike.
Yes, and how long did that preparatory chat go on for?
Into the wee small hours, you know.
I understand. Now, what's the news stories buzzy around, Jane? Any good gossip for us?
Yeah, well, we heard a tidbit this morning. Apparently, I don't know if you remember Ingrid Pitt. She used to star in all these Hammer horror movies. I used to watch them when I was about 15, giving my age away there. And she's now turned producer, and apparently she's going to do a new Dracula film, and she's signed up Omar Sharif to play the lead, which is rather interesting. I wonder if he'll shave his moustache off.
We'll all be debating that. Well, what do you got for us tomorrow, Jane?
Well, we'll be talking to Sting tomorrow, and and more from Paul Rising, so it should be a good programme.
We'll look forward to that, Jane. Thank you very much for enlivening our day.
I think it's Sting tomorrow, Mike.
Yeah, I think it might be Sting, don't you? Yeah, there's a marked preference for Sting at the moment.
Here's George with the weather.
Thanks, Richard, and good morning to you. Well, it's a bit of a north-south divide, really, today, because we've had an area of low pressure up in the northeast of England, and that's brought with it a cold front, which is going to be moving southwards down the country, and it'll probably be reaching southern half of England and Wales tonight. But to start off with, as you can see, cloud and rain in the north of Scotland there, but some sunny periods, Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, Wales, and also the south of England as well. And the south and southwest of England are going to be cheering up quite a lot today. And if we look at the lunchtime chart to see how those temperatures are doing, 22 and 22 there is about 74 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's going to be a hot day. But as you can see here, that cloud in the north moving its way down, more showers and also some snow expected up there as well, would you believe it? Not too bad temperatures, 10, 13, quite mild, but that sun breaking up in that mid part of the country, gradually moving southwards tonight. And if we have a look at tonight's chart to see how it's all going to finish off, as you can see, those showers have actually crept into the southern half of England, and there's going to be a lot more rain and cloud on that southeastern coast as well, I've been informed by the Met Office. More snow up there in the north of Scotland, and also the prospect of frost as well, a bit of a chilly night.